Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level. Join Josh Hadley, an 8-figure Ecom business owner and investor, as he interviews highly successful business owners. Get ready, because you're going to learn specific actions you can take today to help your business reach its full potential and leave a lasting impact on the world.
Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley, where I interview the top business leaders in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Michael E. Gerber, the author of The E-Myth, and Howard Tai. Today, I'm speaking with George Maressa, the CEO and founder of ClearAds digital advertising agency. And we will be talking a lot about the best DSP strategies that have caused massive growth in a number of Amazon businesses. This episode is brought to you by Ecom Breakthrough Consulting, where I help 7-figure companies grow to 8 figures and beyond. Listen, George, I started my business back in 2015, and I grew it to an 8-figure brand in 7 years. But I certainly made a lot of mistakes along the way that made the path of getting to 8 figures take a lot longer than it really needed to. There were times where I had a lot of self-doubt, whether my brand could actually survive, whether I could manage the cash flow of the business properly. So any of our listeners that have run into similar stumbling blocks or similar plateaus and are looking for the next steps to overcome those, go to ecombreakthrough.com. That's Ecomm with 2 M's. To learn more. And as a special bonus to my podcast listeners, this month I'm giving away one $10,000 comprehensive business strategy audit session at no cost. All you need to do is email me at josh@ecombreakthrough.com, and in your subject line, say strategy audit and tell me why I should choose your business to work with for this month. And if you don't win this month, don't worry, you'll be entered to win for future months to come. But today I am super excited to introduce you all to George Maressa. George has been in digital advertising since 2009, working on a wide range of platforms, including Amazon, Google, Bing, LinkedIn, and Facebook paid advertising. Using these platforms, he has worked with hundreds of advertisers across the world in numerous industries and sectors to maximize their ROAS. His agency, ClearAds, now focuses purely on Amazon PPC and DSP advertising, helping deliver the best results for his clients. So with that introduction, welcome to the show, George.
Thank you so much for having me, Josh. It's a pleasure.
George, we initially met up at Camp Ecomm, Brandon Young's event, and we immediately struck off a great conversation. Yeah. And I think both of us realized, like, all right, this dude's smart. Both of us were like, all right, we've got to stay in contact. And so, every time I've spoken with you, you've got some wicked smart strategies, and I'm really looking forward to having you share those on the podcast today. So, George, why don't you give people just a brief overview of how you kind of got into this Amazon space? Because you've got, lots of digital marketing experience, but why the shift into Amazon?
Right. So I had a colleague, Emily. She was working with me, and then she left to work for Google. And a year later, we still kept in contact. We actually are really good friends now. She actually went for an interview at Amazon, and they shared their frustrations with her and said, look, there's no agencies taking PPC on Amazon seriously. No one. So she called me up and said, George, you need to get on this. And obviously I have a Google Ads background and I had to create content on my website. So I just said, hey, we're an Amazon ad agency. I'll put it on Google. The cost per click at the time was 20 to 30p a click. We were getting an influx of traffic. And then the first few leads we got in, I said, look, never done this before, but I know Google Ads very well. It's a far more seasoned platform. Yeah. This will be very straightforward compared to that. Let's have a go in your account. Won't charge you anything for the first 2 months. I said that to the first company. We saw some tremendous results. We then migrated a ton of our clients from Google Ads to Amazon. And at the time, because the cost per click bids were so low, we were seeing 3 to 4 times better results on Amazon than we were on Google. And then at that point, we just went, we need to just go all into this. So we went into Amazon PPC hard around 6 years ago. At the time, there weren't any agencies in the UK. There were probably 1 or 2 in the US, but it was no one was kind of established. even at that point, Techometrics took us seriously. They started sending a lot of stuff to us to use their tool, to help them use their tool. So we were kind of heavily involved there. And then with the DSP, we got in very early. Someone kind of whispered, there was whispers about it. I was so intrigued. I spent 2 weeks messaging people on LinkedIn, an hour to 2 hours a day, saying, who can I speak to at Amazon that can get me DSP access? And then I got the same email. Funny enough, his name was Jeffrey, but he's left now. And he got us UK access, managed to find a way to get US access, but there was no learning center. There was no resources. There was nothing. So at that point, I was fortunate enough to have 2 brands, 2 8-figure brands. And they went, George, here's some money, spend it, test and figure it out. And I was like, okay, so we had to go about, create our own SOPs, figure out what's worked, tested, saw where we got the results. And at that point, we actually just shared our SOP with some of the largest agencies, PPC agencies in the world, and mainly US. And they use it till this day. So when I see presentations at times, I know where you got that from. So we kind of established it. So we got in pretty early, and it's just been evolving over the years now. So that's not short. That's quite a long.
I love it. That's an amazing story. What I love about that story, though, is like your amount of like dedication, hustle, and grind. Right? Like wasn't handed over to you. No. Right? You had to reach out to try to get DSP access. You're willing to work with somebody for free for the first few months, right? And just kind of prove yourself. I think there's a lot of lessons. I think we could spend the whole time just focused on your journey and the business principles that people could emulate as an entrepreneur starting up any business. But George, what I would love to dive into, and I think the main reason why people are going to get a lot of value from today's episode, is that for established brands that are already doing 7 figures, in order to scale to 8 figures and beyond, you've seen a lot of success with some DSP advertising strategies. Yeah. Why don't you share maybe a couple of what those strategies are, and then we'll go into each of them in depth and some of the case studies that you have for them.
Yeah, sure. So I think the best place to start is just to kind of simplify it all. If you've got yourself to 7 figures, there's already good use cases for your product, right? They're what Amazon call retail ready. People like your products. There's going to be some good reviews because people wouldn't be buying otherwise. So there's already traction. Now, let's just say 10 people click on your product. You might get a 30% conversion rate or 40% conversion rate, which is great. But what happens with the 60%? Those who don't purchase, those who don't go to the final step. It doesn't mean they're not interested. It just might be the wrong occasion. They might have been on their mobile device and they probably wanted to get home and check it out later. So, but
their kids interrupted them because they've got 3 kids that are going to barge through the door at any minute, just like here at my house.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so many different reasons. Now, that is money on the table. You know, you've spent all that effort to get your rankings up organically. You're spending, well, I'm sure, a fortune on PPC to get the traffic there. So using remarketing, you could re-engage with that audience through Amazon's demand-side platform. And you could do this with display ads too. Now, the difference between display ads and DSP, on the other hand, is with DSP, you can exclude anyone who's purchased your product or any similar products at a certain time frame. So it increases the efficiency, right? Now, you can take it another step, and you can also exclude anyone who's looking at that product on the same day, right? Because one of the big issues with Amazon DSP is, we don't get transparency from Amazon just yet on where those ads appear. So you can argue the fact, and I'm going to get into this later on, but you can argue the fact, okay, if an ad served on the page where someone was going to purchase anyway, is Amazon DSP recording that as a sale and taking responsibility for that? Right? Because that's cannibalization, and that's something you have to be aware of. So you can do that with DSP. You can put these extra layers in place to ensure you get a maximum efficiency with DSP. So speak to anyone you're using. If you're using an agency to do DSP for you, ensure that they're done. Ensure, not only excluding your product, you want to, if someone's just bought a saucepan, right? They probably found the one they want. Yeah. They're not going to want to buy another one. Right? So find every other saucepan under the sun and exclude them as well. Create an audience for them and exclude them. And that works really well. So that's obviously been one of the best kind of performing campaigns you can create, one of the best. And that's a good place to start. One thing I'd also recommend to anyone is if your agency is using similar product views or product searches as an audience, don't, right? This is Amazon's way of trying to get more impressions and traffic. And you have no control. You don't know what ASINs are in there. And I'm sure all of you already know when you create auto campaigns, when you create anything automated by Amazon, right? The crazy variations they put in that have nothing to do with your product. Right? So you have to just bear that in mind. So you need to take complete control when you're building this. Now, our timing was perfect because when we got into DSP, Amazon just about allowed you to create your own audiences. Before, it was already made audiences. So now we have the ability to do that. And with the rich data we have from DSP, rich first party data to add, right? It doesn't get any better than that. I think a lot of people, they focus too much on attribution. This isn't working well for us. But when you're looking at the richness of the data, right? It is so underrated. It's unbelievable. In the Amazon ecosystem, it's becoming more used. Outside of Amazon, it's still unheard of, and it's barely kind of scratching the surface.
Yeah. No, I love that, George. I think you've provided a great summary. One of the first quick actions, right, and tactics that you could leverage with DSP is something that is very, very common in regular e-commerce. If you own a Shopify site, one of the first ads that any digital marketer would recommend that you turn on is abandoned cart advertising and remarketing, right? That's one of the first ads. With Amazon, we've got it all backwards. We all start with the keyword level searches. Now, again, that helps because people are pretty far down that funnel when they're on Amazon and shopping there. So I think one action that a lot of our sellers can take is really start focusing and implementing some of these retargeting ad strategies if they're not currently doing that. But I want to kind of pull things back a little bit more, George. I want to ask you the question, how does DSP and different strategies that you could use, but how does DSP advertising help a brand grow from 7 to 8 figures that you wouldn't normally be able to achieve in sponsored ads?
Right. Okay. So with pay-per-click advertising, you hit thresholds, right? There's only so much traffic you can get from a certain keyword that's relevant, right? Which is great. So there's only so much you can get. Now, you can move outside of those relevant keywords to keywords that are slightly less relevant, but then you're going to have an impact with conversion rates. Is it relevant? Does Amazon deem it as relevant? Are you even going to get the impressions for those keywords, right? Yeah. You can move into all these other areas. So there's going to be times, especially in niche areas, right, where you're going to hit the cap. You've hit the ceiling on what you can do. Now, with display advertising, it's constantly learning, right? So you got Amazon's algorithm. It's pro and it's con in a way, because its con is we have no control of what ads serve, but the pro is Amazon, you can optimize it for ROAS. So as the time goes on, Amazon's demand side platform will learn what time of day, what positions, what ad creative, what promotion converts best, and it will serve those ads more. Now with display ads, you can work up the funnel. So once you've got retargeting working really well, brilliant. You can't really scale that. Then you can move on to the consideration stage, right? Who is there out there that is likely to need my product, but doesn't even know it yet, right? And that's the amazing thing about it. You can target people before they even know they need your product. And now you're talking about a massive C in terms of an audience, right? Yeah. So, and you got little hints. So for example, if someone's just bought a trolley, a pram, what do you call it in the US? A pram, a stroller. Stroller. Yep. If someone just bought a stroller, they're likely to have a baby, right? If they're likely to have a baby, then they're probably going to need some diapers, right? So you can start advertising diapers before they even know they need it, right? And these are some of the ways you can think about Amazon's demand side platform. What is there someone buys, because we've got that information, that makes them then eligible to potentially want your product?
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
And you can optimize that. And then over time, Amazon's demand side platform will learn, okay, with this audience, this is what works well. Then you can go into market basket analysis. You can look at trends to find out, okay, What other telltale points are there about my particular audience? Right? Are they those who earn between 50 to 100,000 a year? Are they those who earn between 100 and 200,000 a year? Then you could add additional layers to this the DSP, right? Yep. Making it far more efficient. And still, you're talking about not only on Amazon with DSP as well, you're talking about off Amazon too. Yep. So you're talking about taking advantage of outside traffic into your listing by creating these audiences. And we all know how Amazon reacts to outside traffic. So it's going to work in your favor. So with PPC, you could spend, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even $1 million a month. But with DSP, you could spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands a day. If you press the wrong button,
sure,
waste a lot of money. So if you can do it well,
lots are limitless.
Yeah. And it's Amazon. You have to just put yourself in Amazon's shoes here. They understand and they know how much money they make with DSP. It's growing at a crazy rate. So what they're thinking now is, how can we make people spend more money? If they improve attribution, improve reporting, improve targeting, then they're going to get more out of it. And I've seen this firsthand when you look at Google's display network, right? It's so much more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Right? Google's DoubleClick. You've got Trade Desk. They're very sophisticated platforms. Amazon's demand side platform is nowhere near that. And I want people to grasp the power that Amazon has, that no one else has, which is the first party data, right? Yep. And the fact that they are not even on top of it all, right? So there's so much more stuff to come. And you get that as a seller, you get that in place. You get every part of the funnel refined, right? And you will have a few years head start on everyone else. And you've got a funnel. So right, if you don't get that conversion in the first go, you're going to reach them later on with the remarket. So you got a macro level understanding of your business, and you can see how each piece fits together, right? And then one of the things that it's a shame we don't have it on Amazon yet, but we have it on Google, is we have linear attribution, right? We can see, okay, the journey of that customer might have started with that campaign. But then for that particular campaign had an impact before they made the transaction on the third campaign.
Yeah.
Right. And when they introduced this on Google Ads, right, it made everything so different for us, because we weren't chopping out campaigns that looked like they weren't working, because they had an impact and they had a part to play in the funnel. Right. Amazon's going to get there. They're going to provide you the entire journey. And Amazon Marketing Cloud was already started showing symptoms of this.
That's amazing. And I think, as with everything, that first mover advantage on Amazon is going to pay dividends across the board. We all wish we could have got into Amazon back in 2010, 2015, right? I think the same could be said now of DSP. I think that it's true, exactly what you talked about. Amazon is going to is just going to follow Google's playbook, right?
Yeah.
They've hired a lot of ex-Google employees on the advertising side, and they're saying, all right, what was working over here on your guys' ad platform that, made it so valuable, obviously, for people to come advertise? What's the data that people are looking for? Like you said, George, Amazon's going to roll all of that out. So the earlier you get in there and you start setting those up, you're going to have years of, I guess, a head start compared to everybody else. So,
yeah,
George, let's now dive into some actual strategies. Let's say somebody's just starting with DSP. Where would you recommend they start? Let's assume they have, and I guess one thing that we should tell the audience is that DSP is the only way you get access to DSP is how, George?
Yeah, so there's two ways. You can go to Amazon directly. Amazon tends to approach kind of mid-level 7-figure sellers, or anyone 8 figures up, and they propose, hey, why don't we manage DSP for you? And that's the first option. Or you could go to an accredited Amazon DSP agency, one of which we are, and you can do it. Or there's a third way. You can go down the self-service option through a company like Kepler. But again, you're not getting the expertise there, but they're the three options that you have at the moment in terms of how to do it. and properly now. And it just goes to your point about, don't you wish you started Amazon when it started off? The barriers of entry are so high for this. So not everyone is involved in this. So you can imagine the cost per 1,000 impressions are way less than they're going to be in the future. Right. Yep. And I went to speak at an event in Manchester yesterday in the UK. I said, put your hand up if you've heard of DSP. No hands. Right? There's still so many people that don't even know it exists, let alone trying to use it.
Yeah, I love that. George, I think that is a golden nugget that I would definitely want our listeners to take away. We all complain about the increased CPC costs on sponsored ads on Amazon, right? The exact same thing is going to happen on DSP. DSP is never going to be cheaper than it is today. And this is where you could really leverage some advanced strategies to take your brand from 7 to 8 figures and beyond. So let's dive in, George, with some of those advanced strategies that you would recommend. What's the first strategy? Then, because obviously you're going to build it on. It's not like you go to DSP and you just light it all up, because like you said, you could lose a bunch of money overnight. So what strategy, number one, and walk us through that methodology?
Yeah. So I think the biggest, if you're going to take away anything from anything I said today, right, when you're implementing DSP strategy, whether you're working with Amazon or you're working with an agency or you're trying to do it yourself, is be data driven. Do not do anything on assumptions. We have the data available to us. So if you're going to create in-market and lifestyle audiences, don't just do it because you think they match up with your product, right? You can use something called an overlap report of DSP. You can you get your remarketing audiences and say to Amazon, okay, what audiences are there similar to this, where there's a high level of overlap? Then Amazon will show you that data. They will show you, here's all of the available. We did this with one client. We managed to get a ROAS of 8. And this is across the board. This is for loyalty. This is for remarketing. This is from consideration, right? And the average across that industry was 4, and we were getting 8.
Wow.
And we were scaling heavily. And this is just because we leveraged overlap reports. We got that information, we found out, okay. And sometimes it will show you the most obscure audiences, which makes absolutely no sense, but it doesn't matter, right? Because it's data driven. That's where you're getting information from. So 1, you can get the data from your remarketing audiences. 2, market basket analysis is a brilliant place as well. There's so much useful information. So you can go into in brand analytics, so you can go into market basket analysis. You can get all the information about, okay, if someone's bought one of your items, I'm more likely to buy these other 3 of your items, right? You can reverse that and create an audience for anyone who's purchased those particular items, and you can serve them your ad. Again, these work tremendously well on DSP. Right, you see some really good results. Now, another thing you can test out is if you've done ASIN targeting with PPC and you've seen really good results, right? There's a strong chance that the ASINs that you have are superior to your competitors, right? You're probably really winning on price, got a better review score, or just stand out completely, right? Leverage that. Take those ASINs that you got working through PPC, put that on DSP, because you're not only now targeting them on the page where that product appears, you're targeting them after they've looked at that product and they've gone somewhere else. And on top of that, you can exclude those who've purchased that product. So they've looked at the product, they're interested, they haven't purchased yet, and they're looking around still.
Yeah.
Now, that's the thing. So be more data driven is the key strategy that I would recommend when doing DSP.
I love that. So the first step, I love that product targeting and the level, the additional customizations that you're able to make on DSP is something that you're not going to get on sponsored display, right? Because you could pull up, sponsored display ads for product targeting, right? But you cannot remove, but don't send this ad if they've already bought this competitor's product, right? So I see that as a huge advantage. George, let's walk through. So what would be step number 1 if you're signing up for DSP today? Would the first strategy be setting up retargeting? Is that the first strategy you would recommend?
Okay, so if we take a step before that, right, find the right partner, please. Do not treat this like you're taking on a PPC account manager, because the big difference here is when you're taking on a PPC account manager, you can terminate their access at any given point if you're not happy for whatever reason, right? And you can transfer that information to someone else. When you subscribe to DSP with any provider, right, your account lives in their seat. If you decide at any given point to terminate your subscription with that seat, you're going to have to start again in someone else's seat, which means there will be no data transferred over from one to another. Right? You're going to be stuck with that. Now, if you've been running DSP for 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, and you've seen some decent results, you have to remember it's 8, 9, 10 months of Amazon learning what works well in your account, optimizing and getting good performance, right?
Yeah.
So trying to transfer it over, it's going to have to learn all of that from scratch. On top of that, you've been serving your ads for a while, and I've seen the bias in many platforms. This isn't just Amazon. If you're serving ads for a while, you're going to have benefits in terms of pricing. So if you chuck that off and you try and go somewhere else, you're just going to look like a brand new seller who's never spent anything on Amazon before. So you're not going to get those preferred rates. So first things first, really quiz the DSP agent you're going to work with. Find out, ask friends who you worked with. And the one thing that frustrates me more than anything else is when someone goes with a DSP provider because they're the cheapest, right? It's the stupidest thing you could do, because if you have a Ferrari or Rolls Royce, would you try and find the cheapest garage to take it to? You wouldn't. You'd want to find the best garage so you're looked after. And with your business, you want to make sure you're going with an agency that's credible and can look after it. So we never rush anyone on DSP. We're like, just do your due diligence and make sure. That's the first step. The second step is...
George, let's pause there, because I think that would actually be very, very helpful for our listeners. What's a checklist that you should kind of go through and walk through to vet an agency that you're looking to have do DSP for you?
The first thing is, don't go with Amazon, right? But I'm sure they won't mind me saying this, right? But actually they will, but I'm going to say anyway. Amazon's core strategy is to get you to spend as much money as possible. That's their KPI, because that's how they get promoted, right? So the way they treat your account is they go, hey, look at all these amazing impressions that you've got. Isn't that great? And as a seller, you're like, hold on one sec. Impressions isn't really the key thing for us, right? We're trying to grow our business, not just increase our reach. So that's the big thing that they go with, especially with the slight uncertainty with attribution at the moment. It could look to their favor, right? That's the first thing. Now, second, when you do go to an agency, the first step you should take is go onto Amazon's accredited partners page, right? And check out DSP providers. So Amazon DSP providers, just put something on Google, go onto Amazon's page, and there's a list of DSP providers, right? So what you tend to find, if you find any company, right, if they are an official partner with Amazon, they will tend to have a partner badge somewhere which links straight to that page, which shows you, hey, they're an official partner. Now, if they're not an official partner, they might be piggybacking off someone else's seat, right? You don't want to get into that, because if they're piggybacking off someone else's seat, right, and let's just say there's some internal issues and they get kicked out of that seat, they no longer have access to your account. Who do you contact?
Yep.
Who do you reach? You don't know, right? So you want to make sure you've got someone who's got their own seat. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm sure every seller that's listening to this, they're savvy. They have a pool, an audience of other savvy sellers. Speak to them. Find out who are they using that's doing DSP, that's working really well, right? Get their first glance into, okay, what's your experience been like? And ensure that they're happy with whoever it is. So they're the steps that I would recommend taking when trying to find a DSP agent. I would even go as far as asking questions about the business. What's the purpose of the business? What are you looking to do? How big is it? How long has it been going? Is it a brand new business that's been starting up for a bit and might not be there tomorrow?
Yeah.
Is it one that's been there for a while? Is it, you just want to really find out how many DSP agents do you have? How many of them are certified? How many have taken the exams? I would just do your due diligence, ask those questions before it's too late, and then before you're stuck with someone.
Yep. I think that is foundation number one for sure. So I hope our listeners follow those best practices, because it's true. You make this decision, and it's not like you could just change course after 6 months or a year. Otherwise, you're just starting from ground zero all over again. All right. Now let's jump into these strategies. Let's say you have found the right agency to work with. what's the first strategy you should be implementing with DSP?
Yeah, so the first strategy is 100% remarketing. Okay, no, let's stop there actually. No, you want to find the best ASINs to target, right? Okay. So you want to target ASINs that are importantly retail ready, right? There needs to be a track record that they do well, because with PPC, someone searched for your product to see it and they've clicked on your product, so they're showing high interest, right? Yep. So if they don't purchase going down this process, there's something wrong. There's a conversion issue here. So there might be some issues with your listing. There might be some issues with your pricing. There might be some issues with the reviews you got. That needs to be sorted out first. So you need to very carefully choose the right products to promote. Once you've figured out which products you're going to promote, so you want to look at, okay, what's getting a good volume of sales? What's got a good amount of traffic? You want to have at least 5,000 impressions, no less, on a given ASIN, because that shows a month, that is. That's showing you that that's showing you there's a pool of interested people who see your listing on a monthly basis. So that's already going to give you some kind of foundation work in terms of, okay, here's some easy money we can pick up.
Okay.
That's a start. So you want to start a remarket.
Yeah. So let's break that down, right? Because I think this is super important. DSP is not your strategy to just increase sales for something that is not performing very well. I think what you're saying here, strategy number one is look at your data. You need products that are generating at least 5,000 impressions per month. Okay. And then if I heard you correctly, George, you want to make sure that your conversion rate is at least on par with that product category average, if not better. That's when that's like your first criteria, just as important as it is picking a DSP agency. Picking the right products from your product group or from your portfolio is just as important, correct?
Yeah, and you can cross-reference this through brand metrics on PPC. So you can find out, okay, what's your conversion rate for the product, and what is it, and what's the category average? Now, if you're a lot lower than a category average, then there's an issue there. So you need to kind of go there, spend the money and time fixing that, and then look into DSP. Sorry, there's just so much to do before you even go into DSP, right? So once you've done that, then once you've found the winning ASINs, once you've found a good few winning ASINs, what you want to do is you want to remarket. You want to target those who have viewed the product and those who haven't purchased, right? And you want to target those who haven't purchased your product and those who haven't purchased other people's products.
So you're turning on two different types of retargeting. You're turning on retargeting for your own ASINs, and then you're retargeting your competitors' ASINs that have not yet bought, correct?
No. So you're creating two audiences. So you've got an audience of those who have viewed your product, but you've also got an audience of those who have purchased your product and purchased any one of your competitors' products. Then within that campaign, you just tell Amazon, hey, I want to target these people, but I want to make sure I exclude this audience. Right? Okay. And when you do that, it makes sure that your ads appear. Right.
That makes sense. That makes sense. What would be strategy number two? Let's say you got that retargeting set up, working properly. What do you then add to go up the funnel from there?
I think it's cross-sell. The cross-sell. So go into brand metric and then brand analytics, sorry. Then go into market basket analysis. Take all the ASINs there. That's data already given to us by Amazon. They perform incredibly well. So this used to be at the bottom of our build sheet, but consistently the results have been so good. We put it higher up in the SOP. So this is something you build straight after remarketing. They tend to do well. They tend to have a higher audience, especially new to brand sales as well. So so go down that route, build there. Now, once you've built this out, go back to your remarketing audience, put that through overlap reports, and find other audiences that you can build that have an affinity score of over 5. Now, overlap reports is only available on DSP right now, but I can see this coming into display ads. So have a look out for that. When it does come through, it's a really powerful tool you can use. And I just want to mention, Josh, as well, I only found this out at the Prosper Show in Vegas this year, but apparently there's rumors about the roadmap of display ads basically being able to do everything you can do on DSP. So Amazon's trying to get it into that place. Now, the question is, you can wait for that, but that could be a year, 2 years down the line. Do you really want to wait that long and like leave everything on the table here? And that's something for you to decide, but I just wanted to also throw that in there. So that's the second thing. So you build out the cross-sell campaigns where you're targeting ASINs from the market basket analysis. So you can target everyone who's purchased those particular ASINs, right, as one audience, and you can also target those who have viewed those particular ASINs. That's likely to see less conversions but a high reach.
Yeah.
Right? Now that's what you do, and then what you want to then do is you want to then create bespoke ASIN targeted campaigns. So you want to look at the ASINs that you're targeting of your competitors on PPC that you're doing right now, and you want to re-advertise those who are performing well within display ads. So, and then you can go really refine. So we had one company that sold stools, and we would go as far as, find every yellow stool that's been sold on Amazon and re-advertise our yellow stool. Find every red stool that's been advertised on Amazon and target our red stool. So we're really pushing the exact product or the exact size people are looking for. So that's what you would do with regular products. Now, if you have a subscribe and save type of product, then what you want to do is you want to target everyone who has purchased your ASIN. You want to target everyone who, so you want to create a few audiences here. So this is slightly more complicated. So you want to target anyone who has purchased your ASIN in the last year. You want to exclude anyone who has purchased your ASIN in the last, let's say, 60 days. So they've purchased in the past, but they haven't purchased recently. And now you can also exclude anyone who is in your subscribe and save model. So you're excluding anyone who hasn't subscribed, they have purchased your product, and they might be likely to purchase again, but it's just been some time. Yeah. They tend to convert very well. Now, you can add additional feature here. You can go into a tool like Nozzle, right? And Nozzle will tell you the average window of when someone tends to purchase your product again. And this varies. So again, it's been very heavy data driven, and you can find that exact information. So it could be 52 days. It could be 15 days. It could be 30 days. And if you're selling supplements, if you're selling a 30-day supplement range, you want to target those who purchased 20 days ago because they're probably going to want to top up soon. It's a little gentle reminder to tell them to do that. So they tend to do really well with subscribe and save products. Now, you can take it a step further and you can target everyone who's purchased any of your competitors' ASINs of the same supplement 60 days ago or 30 days ago, and they're probably going to need to top up again. So they're likely that that they're into the product. They want to buy vitamin C, vitamin D, turmeric supplements, right? And you can advertise in your product. So it doesn't get more tailored and relevant than that. So supplement brands do true. If you're a supplement brand and you're doing over 2 million a year, you need to get on DSP. It is a no-brainer.
Those are some wicked smart strategies, and I think you can see the power of using all of that data to laser target and serve up your ad to the right person at the exact right time. I mean, that's the power of what DSP allows us to do. George, I know we're kind of running out of time here because we've got so much that we could dive into here. So I want to make sure that we provide the best value here. What I would love to do is, do you have any case studies that you could share with some simple tactics or strategies that some of the brands that have worked with you have implemented, and what results have they seen to help grow their brand?
Yeah, so we had one brand, they were doing about 4 to 5 million a month when they came on board with us, 500 different products, and we literally just leveraged remarketing with those products, like literally creating custom remarketing campaigns for every single one of their ASINs. With that, we were able to get 4.6 million in revenue over a year and a half with a rise of 15%, wow. For that particular ASIN, and that was just solely remarketing. So that's one case study, and these case studies are all on our website. So it's being completely transparent. Some of them, they've even been happy to share the brand as well. So there's one where we were able to increase traffic and generate 64,000 in sales within 1 month. And this was, again, leveraging overlap reports, making sure that we found audiences that are relevant to what we can see through the remarketing audiences we got. And that again, did really well for us. That's another case study. We got one particular brand right now. They're incredibly aggressive. They've gone from not spending much to, I think they spend around $200,000 a month on DSP. And we're now really pushing consideration stage. We're really getting into some detail with layering, finding out as much information about the consumer and adding additional layers to kind of refine the audience we're appearing to. And we're just not running out of traffic. So we're just constantly increasing budgets and that.
I love that. Those are some great strategies. And sounds like for every single brand, it's a little bit different, right? The approach is going to be a little bit different. And I think that's the importance of finding the right agency that you could work with to leverage some of these things. George, is there anything that you think we should share with the audience to kind of tie all of this up as it relates to DSP and the strategies that you could implement to grow your brand?
I would say if you're thinking about doing Amazon DSP, if you're considering it, or it's your first time you heard about it, talk to the community, try and understand it. Please do not be put off about attribution. Attribution is an issue, but I'm telling you now from my experience, we're working with a whole load of brands right now, and they're absolutely killing it on DSP. And we're watching their business reports and overall sales, and we're seeing parallel increases when we're scaling ad spend and seeing sales. So please don't be put off by that. Give it a try if you haven't done so already, and speak to some experts about it.
Awesome. I love that. Well, George, as we wrap up this episode, I love to leave the audience with 3 actionable takeaways from every episode. Here are the 3 strategies and tactics that I would recommend our listeners take advantage of. But George, let me know if you think I'm missing something. Number 1 is, if you're not currently utilizing DSP, start learning more about it. I would probably start there, right? But if you're already familiar with DSP, then the number 1 action item that you need to do is you need to go vet the agency that you're going to work with. Because your 3 options are either go have Amazon manage your DSP ads, which how fun does that sound? Or 2, work with a certified partner that actually knows and cares about your business, right? And then 3rd, there's a do-it-yourself solution, which I think would be a little bit more challenging than people are looking for right now. But those are your 3 options. So number 1, vet the agency before you sign up to work with them, because it's almost like a marriage. Like, this is something that you're signing up for the long haul, and it's not going to be easy to unravel this if that's something you decide this isn't the agency you're going to work with. Action item number 2 is, if you already are working with an agency or you just started, then the first action item that you need to do is get really detailed with your data. Okay. You need to understand which products DSP is going to work for, because DSP is not going to work for those products that have a low number of impressions per month. They're not really going to work as well if you don't have would you say a higher average order value, George? Like, if you have products in the $10, $12 range, is DSP really the right fit for them?
It depends. If it's a high impulse product and there's a good volume going through it, then we have seen it work at times.
Okay. But most importantly, I think it comes back to that data. Do you have enough impressions coming through? Yeah. The higher, the better. And then secondly, is your conversion rate above the market average, right? Those are your kind of 2 pre-qualifiers to say, if I turn on DSP, this is just pouring gasoline on top of the fire. The last strategy is, if you've already got your retargeting set up, right, and you already know your products that could benefit from pouring gasoline on the fire, then keep moving up the funnel, but do it methodically. And I think that's the most important takeaway from DSP in this conversation today is, this isn't just light everything up at once. This is start with retargeting, see what's working, see which ASINs are performing really well, then layer it up, keep moving up the funnel, and press the rewind button, because George walked us through 4 different actionable strategies that you could implement to keep moving up the funnel, targeting your competitors' ASINs for people that haven't actually bought those, or purchasing, or advertising cross-selling related products, right, from your market basket analysis. See what type of products people are buying alongside together, and then serve those up with people that have recently purchased those products. Like, that's the power of DSP. So those are my 3 takeaways, George. Is there anything else that you would add to summarize this all up?
No, you've done so well, mate. Perfect summary there.
All right. Well, you're the DSP expert, so your stamp of approval means a lot. All right, George. So let's dive into the final 3 questions that I like to ask every guest. Question number 1 is, what is the most influential book that you've read and why?
I think the most influential book I read is The Culture Code. So it's about bringing together how to get a group to work really well together, by a chap called Daniel Coyle. That has helped me build a team, especially when I didn't know what I was doing. So helped me build a team, being open to getting other people's opinions and trying to create a culture where it's safe and people can share their ideas, and trying to build from the bottom up. So any advice or suggestions given by those in the front line managing the accounts, being open to take on whatever they say, rather than trying to take a top-down approach where you're telling everyone what to do. That's been game changing. But
that's amazing. I have not heard of that book, and that sounds like an amazing book to help somebody that's trying to build a team. And obviously, culture is such an important aspect when you are trying to build a team. You want to create that sticky situation where they enjoy working with you. Let's go to question number 2 here. What is a new, maybe software or productivity tool that you've recently discovered that you think is going to be a game changer?
Yeah. So I think the biggest, it's not a tool, but one of the biggest things in our company that we've implemented in terms for productivity that's worked really well is introducing one-to-one meetings of every single person in the team. And it's from my business coach, it's called line meetings. So you look at what's been done last week, you look at any issues in the business, any opportunities in the business, and you look at next week. And you go through that with the team every week and you get their opinions. Okay, what issues do you see in the business? What issues do you see in accounts? And then getting them to be proactive, saying, well, what are you going to do to sort that out? Getting them to write that down under next week. And then reviewing it every week. What was it that you saw in terms of issues? What was it you saw in terms of opportunities, and what have you done about it? So that's seeing productivity from everyone. So there's consistently new structures and systems being put in place in the business that I don't even know about, right? Because you've got other people doing the line meetings with those, with other people. So, and before it even gets to me, that issue has already been resolved. That opportunity has already been taken advantage of. Yeah. So taking that approach has helped have more eyes on the business from every angle. And it's trained those who have just started or have been there for a little while, but I don't tend to speak to as much, to take a kind of a business owner's kind of point of framework and see it from our lens and try to kind of look out. If there's anything that's coming out, or they've read an article that's interesting, or new developments is shared and something is done about it.
I love that. And I'll just echo exactly what you just talked about there, George. And I'll add kind of the twist in what we do in our business. We have regular one-on-one meetings with each of our team members. Every single team member has a one-on-one meeting, whether it's with me or whether it's with their direct supervisor or manager. And it is so, so important. It allows you to coordinate what happened last week and what are you committing to accomplishing this week. And in addition to that, it's addressing what issues do you see? What problems are you having? One thing that we have asked each of our team members to do that has been very powerful, so we call it our 1-3-1-1 method. State the one problem, then come to that meeting, not just saying, hey, I found a problem. Present us with 3 solutions to that problem. Then from those 3 solutions, provide us one recommendation as to how you think we could or which of those 3 solutions do you feel like would be the best solution for us to follow and why? And then lastly, tell us, how do we prevent from running into this issue again in the future? So that has been super powerful. And again, it enables team members to feel like they can make decisions. And as a manager, it allows you to see their decision-making skills when they recommend which solution they would choose. So I love that, George. Last question here. Who is somebody that you admire or respect the most in the e-commerce space that you would recommend other sellers should be following, and why?
This is going to be a very obvious one, and most people in the e-commerce space are probably following this guy, but it's Gary Vee. I think from the get-go, I was following his content, and it's always inspired me to just keep working, have a good work ethic, and also have an abundance mentality, being happy and willing to just share. And good will always come from when you share, and that you're never too old. So like, there's time. There's no need to rush. Slow growth is okay. So there's a few things that kind of were instilled in me by him.
Yeah. Yep. He shares a lot of great business insight. So completely agree. Now, George, this has been a fantastic episode. You have dropped a lot of knowledge. I think people are going to need to push the rewind button, slow down, and take a lot of notes here. But George, where could people reach out to you so that they could tap into your network? If they see, hey, George has got some wicked smart strategies, I would love for him just to take over all of my DSP and start implementing everything that he talked about today. Where should people find you?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Clear Ads. So if you were to search Clear Ads on Google, or if you go to Clear, so clearads.co.uk, you go on our website, fill in the form. They tend to all go past me. It will tend to be George Roberts who will pick up those inquiries. But if there's anything like kind of anyone wants to speak to me about something, I'm more than happy to just jump on the call and talk about it too. So that's the best way. George Morris is my name. You can find me on Facebook as well and add me as a friend.
Awesome. I love that. And George, I believe you have a special offer for our listeners. You had mentioned that for a limited time, you're going to waive your $500 setup fee and reduce your management fee by 10% for the first 3 months. What do people need to do in order to kind of claim that offer?
Yeah. Just come and get an audit from us. So we can go into your account. We can tell you, okay, 1, are you ready for DSP? Is it going to be a good place for you to start with? And 2, do you have PPC in place? So DSP is 50% of our business. PPC's the other 50% of our business. So we know PPC very well too. I just don't talk about it as much because I still think not enough people know about DSP. So we can look at the structure of PPC and figure out, okay, what needs to be done there in order to move on to DSP if that's not been the case just yet. And then if you do that, then automatically you will opt in for that offer. As long as you just say, hey, heard about this from Josh's podcast, somewhere in the message will automatically put you into that
awesome offer. Well, George, that's a generous offer. So thanks for sharing that with our audience. No, and thank you for the wisdom that you shared today, George, and thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thank you for having me, Josh.
Thank you for listening. Visit EcomBreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.